The Matrix was never science fiction. It was a warning. And the most dangerous part is, we didn't notice it coming. The Matrix was released in 1999, at a time when the internet was slow, artificial intelligence was primitive, and smartphones didn't exist. Most people believed the film was simply imaginative science fiction, a creative fantasy about machines, code, and simulated reality. But that interpretation misses the real point entirely. The Matrix was not predicting technology. It was warning about systems, and systems existed long before artificial intelligence became visible. The ideas behind the Matrix were not new in 1999. Neural networks had already existed for decades. Early forms of machine learning were being tested as far back as the 1950s. Governments and corporations were already experimenting with automation, data processing, and behavioral prediction. What the film did was connect those developments to something far more dangerous than machines. It connected them to human behavior. The Matrix presents a world where people believe they are free because they feel comfortable. They wake up, go to work, follow routines, and consume entertainment. Nothing feels forced, nothing feels violent. And that is the key. Control in the Matrix is not enforced through pain. It is enforced through familiarity. This is why the film remains relevant. The machines in the Matrix do not rule with cruelty. They rule with stability. Humans are not enslaved with chains. They are pacified with predictability. As long as life feels normal, people do not question the system that governs them. This concept was not futuristic, it was philosophical. Long before the Matrix, philosophers discussed the idea that people do not resist control if it provides comfort. The illusion of choice is often more powerful than force. When people believe they are choosing freely, they stop looking for alternatives. The Matrix simply visualized this idea using technology as a metaphor. The famous question of the red pill versus the blue pill is often misunderstood. It is not a choice between truth and illusion. It is a choice between discomfort and comfort. The blue pill represents stability. The red pill represents uncertainty. Most people do not fear lies. They fear instability. And that is why the Matrix does not need to hide itself aggressively. It relies on human preference. Another overlooked detail is that Neo was never truly special. He was not chosen because he was powerful. He was chosen because he was dissatisfied. The system did not fail because of his strength. It failed because he was willing to question the structure that surrounded him. This is a crucial difference. The Matrix does not collapse when someone becomes strong. It collapses when someone becomes aware. In 1999, this message felt abstract. Today, it feels familiar. Algorithms now decide what people see, what they buy, and what they believe. Recommendation systems guide attention silently. There is no visible enemy, no central villain. Just systems optimizing for efficiency and engagement. The Matrix never claimed machines would hate humanity. It suggested something more unsettling. That machines would not care. They would simply optimize, and in doing so, they would reshape human behavior without needing permission. This is why the Matrix does not feel outdated. Its technology may look old, but its logic feels modern. Control is no longer about domination. It is about guidance, about suggestion, about nudging behavior without resistance. And this raises an uncomfortable question. If the Matrix were real, would people actually want to escape it? Most humans in the film are not screaming to wake up. They are asleep because they prefer it that way. Freedom is not removed. It is traded. Traded for comfort, routine, and certainty. This is the part of the Matrix that most viewers miss. The danger was never artificial intelligence. The danger was how easily humans accept systems that think for them. And this is only the beginning of what the film was trying to say. Because the most disturbing idea in The Matrix is not that reality is fake. It is that people might choose the fake one willingly. One of the most famous moments in The Matrix is the choice. Red pill or blue pill. It looks simple. It feels powerful. And that is exactly why it works as manipulation. The audience is trained to believe this is a moment of freedom, a moment where the individual finally takes control. But if you slow it down and remove the emotion, something uncomfortable appears. Neo never had a real choice. The choice was framed in a way that made one option morally superior. The blue pill was presented as ignorance, the red pill as courage. One was comfort, the other was truth. When a system defines what truth looks like, the choice is already compromised. Real freedom requires more than two options. It requires the ability to question the structure offering the options in the first place. Neo was never allowed to ask why these were the only choices available to him. He was only allowed to choose between them. This is how control works in advanced systems, not by removing choice, but by designing it. In the Matrix, the machines do not force people to stay asleep. They offer a reality that feels acceptable, predictable, stable. And when stability exists, rebellion feels irrational. The red pill is not about truth. It is about discomfort, about abandoning certainty. Most people do not reject truth because it is false. They reject it because it destabilizes their identity. This is why the character of Cypher is so important. He understands the system better than anyone else. He knows the stake is fake. He knows the world is simulated. And he still chooses to return. Not because he is weak, but because the system offered him something humans value deeply: relief. Cypher exposes the lie at the center of the Matrix narrative. Knowledge does not automatically lead to freedom. Sometimes it leads to exhaustion. The Matrix never claims people are too stupid to wake up. It suggests something far more disturbing: that many people are too comfortable to want to. This is why the system doesn't fear rebels. It isolates them, turns them into anomalies, exceptions that prove the rule. Neo is not dangerous because he fights. He is dangerous because he sees the structure behind the fight. And even then, his freedom is limited. The idea of the One is not empowerment. It is containment. By labeling Neo as special, the system narrows the threat. Instead of many people questioning reality, only one is allowed to break it. The rest can continue sleeping. This is a recurring pattern in real systems. Revolutions are personalized. Resistance is centralized. The illusion of change is managed. As long as people believe someone else is responsible for freedom, they do not take responsibility themselves. The Matrix did not predict artificial intelligence becoming powerful. It predicted humans outsourcing thinking. The machines did not conquer humanity through war. They conquered it through efficiency. Why fight when systems can simply optimize behavior? In 1999, this idea felt extreme. Today, it feels familiar. Algorithms decide what content people see, what opinions are amplified, what information feels important. There is no villain, no central controller, just systems adjusting outcomes based on engagement. The Matrix never needed a single point of control. It needed compliance. And compliance is easier to maintain than obedience. People obey when they are afraid. They comply when they feel safe. This is why The Matrix is not a story about oppression. It is a story about voluntary submission. The most unsettling idea is not that reality can be fake. It is that people might prefer the fake one if it feels better. The red pill does not free Neo from control. It simply moves him into a different layer of it. And that raises a dangerous question. If awakening still exists inside a system, how many layers does that system really have? The most unsettling part of the Matrix is not the machines. It is the realization that the system does not need force anymore. In the film, humans are connected to machines physically. Cables, pods, wires. That image is dramatic, but it is also misleading. The real connection is not physical. It is behavioral. People do not need to be trapped if they willingly follow patterns. They do not need to be controlled if they can be guided. They do not need to be monitored aggressively if they monitor themselves. This is where the Matrix stops being fiction. Modern systems do not tell people what to think. They decide what people see, and what people see shapes what they believe. There is no command. There is no order. There is only optimization. Algorithms do not care about truth. They care about engagement, about attention, about predictability. The more predictable behavior becomes, the easier it is to guide. This is why the Matrix never relied on violence. Violence creates resistance. Comfort creates habits. Habits are harder to break than chains. In the film, the machines learned something crucial about humans. They learned that freedom is not the primary desire. Stability is. People do not wake up asking for truth. They wake up asking for normality. This is why the Matrix could not be destroyed from the outside. It had to be questioned from within. And even then, questioning came with a cost. Neo's journey is often interpreted as empowerment, but look closer. Even after awakening, he follows instructions. He is trained. He is guided. He is told what his role is. The system adapts. It always does. When control becomes visible, it changes shape. In real-life, systems do the same thing. They do not collapse when exposed. They evolve. What used to be hidden becomes normalized. What used to be shocking becomes expected. Surveillance becomes convenience. Prediction becomes personalization. Control becomes recommendation. Nobody forces participation. Participation is rewarded. And this is why the Matrix feels closer now than it did in 1999. Not because technology became stronger, but because resistance became tiring. People are overwhelmed. Constant information, constant stimulation, constant noise. In that environment, surrender feels like relief. Letting a system decide what to show you feels efficient. Letting an algorithm choose what matters feels practical. And slowly, thinking becomes optional. This is the final warning of the Matrix. Not that machines will enslave humanity, but that humanity will accept systems that think for them, not because they are evil, but because they are convenient. The most dangerous systems are not the ones that punish disobedience. They are the ones that reward compliance. In the film, the Matrix collapses when enough people wake up. In reality, systems rarely collapse. They absorb criticism. They integrate resistance. They survive. Which raises the most uncomfortable question of all. If the Matrix existed today, would anyone really want to leave it? Because leaving would mean uncertainty, discomfort, responsibility. And most systems succeed not because they trap people, but because they remove the need to choose. The Matrix was never about the future. It was about a pattern. A pattern where control becomes invisible, where choice becomes curated, where freedom feels optional. And that is why the film still matters, not as a prediction, but as a mirror. The question was never whether the Matrix could exist. The question was whether people would notice when it already does, and if noticing would even be enough.